I'll be able to. I'll be able to see. We can't make them as a holiday, though. It could be- I'm trying to-
Never gets old. White told everyone, white told music time. In 2015, although today Lauren said maybe 2013. Somewhere in those years. I held my very first ever open mic associated to this work in this very room. And I had gone out on sort of a scouting mission, a musician, 2 weeks before, and heard Whitehall and Chris Styles Bacon, who many of you know, and some other musicians performing at Bloom Bars. And I waited around after and introduced myself and asked them if they'd be willing to do a little experiment with us in this room, unscripted, messy, people they've never met. So I asked some very recently emerging poets, like poets who would have been pissed if they heard me call them poets. From Walter Reed and Fort Belvoir to come out and play alongside some musicians from the community, some extraordinary musicians from the community. And we practiced in the like computer room at the USO with explosions in the sky. I just like played explosions in the sky and practiced like listening and responding and figuring out when to speak, that sort of double dutch of performing with a musician. And then they came here and performed this work that they had written in treatment programs that they had never, these were all people who had never read aloud, and we were like, you know, throw them right in the swim. On Chris Stiles and Weitzel and Dish Saraj. And I was changed. I think we were all changed by that experience. And Weitzel and my collaboration was sort of born. We've collaborated many, many, many times over the years. And of course, when we look for facilitators, for artists to collaborate with, we look for people who are, right? The artists of our time, I say, and I fucking mean it. But also, we look for people that are really good at listening with their body, mind, and heart, and with generosity. And I honestly don't know that there's anyone as good at that as Weitzel. You're about to see that. Tonight's performance, you all should all have an index card. Let me know if you don't. Washington. Oh, Washington on the lights. Oh. We need one too.
You tell me else. Oh.
Making her face on the shirt. That's the whole day. This is like where it's the home team. You need an index card? Oh man. But it feels like home team. I come out easy to sit down and square that for you. Sorry. This is like all the things are falling apart. It's the home team here at the table. Tonight's performance is sort of written in the shadow of the same poem that Laura closed her last performance with, which is a really cool sort of connecting thread from the afternoon performance to this one. And that is a poem by Maureen Seaton. And I think I'll read it so that that's in the room with us too. This is called Edda's Elegy. And it's an elegy to a woman named Edda Silver. And it's a way to think about a woman. This is where the poem holds its breath, where the usable truth sways sorrow, and the people sway with the truth of it. And this is where the poem enters the dark. This is where the book closes and the clock opens and the clock closes and the book opens to song. So the snow geese murmur and the coyote swaggers along the aspens. This is where the geese fly unabashedly out and the sky turns white and wild with sound. This is where tumult, where prophecy. This is where the poem repents of language. This is where the poem enters silence, where the child holds the book in her lap, whose pages are aflame with light, whose song sways with a useful truth, sorrow. And this is where the poem holds its breath. And this is where the poem enters the dark. This is where it leaps wild about the child, where the snow geese sees the seamless sky, and the universe splits open for one poem. The way a life lived calls on us to praise it. Thank you for sharing this day of your beautiful singular lives with us. Thank you again to Ashi for making it happen, and to all of you. I'm really hearing some work, frankly. So this extraordinary group of people sent lines in response to that poem. We had a couple workshops. We had 1 3/4 practice. So any mistakes that are made are my fault. And it's going to be great, and we're going to be changed. I'm going to welcome our readers 1 row at a time. Please welcome all the way from Alberta, Canada, our dear friend, community member, first time meeting in person, teacher, brilliance, Kendra. Our next reader was part of our healthcare workers program. That's how I met her. She like shines through the screen across the country, just like giving of herself every place. All of her on Instagram too. She seems to be eating delicious things. Welcome, Janet. Next is a dear old woman. Someone whose work is continuously surprising, who transforms the lives of so many people and his work outside of, well, inside the walls. AV, our welcome. Martha, one of the people whose barbecue is still program like advocate. She's a champion for everyone, for community. I'm so grateful to know her. Oh man. This is the person whose life is whose work life is pretty much trying to decipher what I mean. They are an extraordinary holder of our community online, and we were so delighted to finally get to share space and hear their words. Please welcome her out. This is a person who even though she's so mean to me. She feels like someone I've known my whole life. And I'm so grateful for all the times we've crossed paths, and how when I ask for something of you, when I ask you to show up, you come and show up every time I can come. Please welcome him. I met this poet at the Torpedo Factory, which is actually a torpedo factory right up in this area. And we became friends then, and better friends over time. And I have come to count on his wisdom and counsel and generosity. God, what it's been to have Ben Weekly on our team. This is a person, look at her, she's so cute. And a person who I've known for some years has just recently started writing, and she's like one of the people who's hesitant to write, but then everything she writes is like magic. Another person that you can count on another person. I don't know where we'd be. It's great to have you, Alexis. Oh, yay. And finally, one of my dearest friends in the whole damn world, and one of my favorite victims of pranks. This work has been hard for many years. It's been hard. And it hasn't always been well received, and I haven't always understood what's happening. But I could always count on Joanne. Please help me. Wish me luck.
This is where I kneel before the altar of bone and ash.
It's been hard to give you the wisdom. The index cards are there so that you can write down lines that resonate that are said here. Please write them down because we want to hear them back at the end. And they could be lines that you've heard during the rest of the day, but certainly lines that are said right now. Sorry. Okay.
That's practice.
Thank you. Great.
This is where I kneel before the altar of bone and ash, where ritual ignites my wounds into something glowing, where together we call what is burning love.
This is where the legs wobble.
The voice falters and hands shake.
This is where the heart breaks.
This is where the breath fades, becomes still as the moment before the thunder.
This is where I came after the war was lost.
No words of comfort. Being here was enough.
This is where the heart breaks and pours words onto the blank page.
This is where I find my voice when I'm no longer able to speak.
This is where I met myself on a snowy, plague-bound morning between Scrolling and Doom.
This is where the page soaks up trauma and sorrow and grief.
Here I share the secrets I dare not tell myself. Light from far away souls illuminates truth like a blood moon rising from the sea.
This is where I break my scars apart, where the pen shoves beneath my skin.
Where father, killer, husband, and monster all howl their hunger from beneath the darkness.
This is where I play God, at the moment when creation looks outward and inward.
This is where I can be contradiction, shades of black,
white and gray all at once.
This is where I procrastinate, where seasons turn into well-intentioned promises.
Where inward reflection replaces the chaos of holding a world together.
This is where I find truth bleeding on the asphalt.
Where I fall to my knees and breathe life into a purple mouth, thrusting palms into sternum to the rhythm of staying alive.
Unabridged, full of shame, but the truth is all there.
This is where I want to cry out, to break down, to stop breaking down.
Hands shaking, voice breaking as I confronted the truth.
This is where I found the story without all the edits.
This is where I look in the mirror at what makes me ugly. Where scars caterpillar my hips.
Where my unrepentant heart beats in the palm of her hands, where please tell me you love me.
This is where my heart pounded as I read the next line.
This is where I bring the pain in my spine, which is another name for disappointment.
Another name for memory, another name for what could still be beautiful.
This is where I spent my days of 6 feet apart, a group that knew pain is deep and hard things can't be ignored.
This is where emotions flow freely and unashamed.
This is where a once blank canvas shares 1,000 pleas for understanding.
This is where my colors come alive, despite a whisper telling me, stay dark.
This is where who I was meets interrogation.
This is where we go after the sprints are done.
This is where a brush provides opportunity, where the choice is between your voice or shame. This is where a blank canvas braces for impact, where each brittle is primed to release your fury.
This is not a 50-meter dash.
This is not ever getting to be done.
This is digging failed attempts off the scrap pile.
This is where radical permission generates revolutionary gentleness and genuine safety prevails.
This is where laughter and tears mix, and all are welcome.
Because this is what we do. Pass the tissue.
This is where the flowers dream, summer songs so loud and clear.
Here, ideas breach. Ghost whales fighting tides of wretched inconsequence, finding relevance in the pixelated light of gathering.
This is where I learned how to find my voice.
This is where foreign feelings find understanding. This is where ardent hearts find hope.
This is where the well of community reaches force, envelops me.
Takes me down to the depths and brings me home.
This is where we witness, where we wisdom, where we wrench meaning from the ether.
Here we gather, we weep,
We comfort, we dream anew. This is where the fire of my life is tended, and the sparks fly into the night sky.
This is where the struggle to survive can become the will to live again.
This is where you begin.
This is where you belong.
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 So now, we want to hear what struck you. So y'all can sit down. You can also shout lines back up. That was extraordinary. The only mistake was mine. So while hopefully container information, please feel free to stand up. Keep the line that resonated with you.
This is where I live.
My colors come alive. My colors come alive.
Where laughter and tears mix. Where the struggle to survive becomes working will.
The struggle to survive is finding the will to live again. Where laughter and tears
Mix.
and it all are welcome. All are welcome.
Being here was enough.
That was strong.
That's cool.
Being here was enough.
Where the struggle to survive becomes the will to live.
Where the struggle to survive becomes the will to live. This is where the poem holds its breath.
This is where we gather, we weep, we hope anew.
This is where we gather, we weep, we hope anew.
This is where I find my voice when I'm no longer able to speak.
This is where I find my voice when I'm no longer able to speak.
Seasons turn into well-intentioned.
Seasons turn into well-intentioned moments.
This is where I bring the pain, which is another word for disappointment. And being here is enough.
This is where I bring the pain, which is another word for disappointment. Being here is enough.
This is where you belong.
This.
This.
No. This is where I belong.
Yes.
This is where we.
This is where we belong. can't imagine a day that could have been more beautiful than the one you have given all of us. Thank you for being here. I didn't once look around and see somebody seeming to be uncomfortable somewhere. Oh, it's you all. Thank you for this. Whew. Somebody visit them real quick. Maybe we should get Natasha.
We're all
Ooh, yes. Okay. All right, so we have said it several times today, but I hope you've experienced it today. That art saves lives. So we know this in some very technical ways. Decades of research tell us that when you take your story to the blank page, to the blank canvas, to the lathe, to the pottery wheel, to whatever your medium is, and your voice is heard in loving community, your body begins to heal itself. It's not a euphemism, that's not a metaphor. Right? That is actual fact. We believe that expressive arts can do more than repair our warriors and the people who love them. We believe that it can heal our healthcare workers and their patients. We believe that it can restore and repair communities. Right? And we will be launching here in the next couple months on our end of year fundraising campaign. Giving Tuesday time is around the corner. As Seema mentioned, this is the home team. We ask your support not in passing the hat, but passing the message. Okay, so we know you believe in this work, and we know you're part of this work. So help us carry this work back out into the world through your time and your talent. And that's all I think we can ask. Thank you so much for showing up today. Thank you for giving us your spirit, your presence, for pouring into us. I think Laura might have said it earlier, that we, staff, facilitators, we get probably more out of you than you could ever imagine getting from us. Thank you.
So as we close out, I had asked Weigel to play something funny.
I need it.
Something happened.
It was something funny and he didn't talk, it was like, okay, I'll laugh. That would have been interesting. Yeah, I think the Groupon that we did brought things all together, and then I tried to bring some other things all together. But before that, Round of applause for yourselves for being with us. Applause for Steve and Moxie and everyone who's.
I can see
You know that, right? It's region.
reason. Trying to get rid of one and have to take it.
A mashup of a few different things. It's more fun if you know them, it's okay if you don't know them. Hopefully you know at least one of them. The first one is a little more obscure, it's called Ghost Runner by RJ Detail. Maybe I'll recommend by ear the other one, we'll see.
Thank you all. What an extraordinary day. Let's do this again sometime. Thank you for being here. Thank you for creating a place where we all belong.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May we all continue to be more fully ourselves.
Every